Hi, my name's Judy Ann Scheidler, and I would like to welcome you back to At Home in Bethel Park. In the news lately, we have heard a lot about the assessment process and the reassessment process that's occurring within Allegheny County. And today, our guest is Mr. Michael Werner, and he is with Zunder and Werner Law Firm in Mount Washington. Michael, welcome.
Thank you.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing just fine.
Are your phones ringing off the hook?
My phones are ringing off the hook, and the emails just won't stop on this reassessment stuff.
I bet. Tell me a little bit about yourself and your law firm.
Sure. I started this practice with my partner, Michael Zunder. It was about 5-6 years ago. Mm-hmm. And before that, I was working for a firm up in the North Hills of Pittsburgh, doing real estate, estate planning, small business representation. When I started this practice, I really started to focus on assessment appeals, although that's not all that I do. This time of year, it seems like that's all I am doing. I have been representing property owners with assessment appeals since the 2001 and 2002 reassessments in Allegheny County, when everybody felt it was their civic duty to appeal their assessment, and now we're back into it again.
We're back into it again. Is this a one-time deal, or can people do an appeal on their assessment any time?
People can appeal their assessments every year. Mm-hmm. This year it's a little bit unique because not only are you able to appeal your 2012, so that's your current assessment right now, mm-hmm. and just by way of clarification, your 2012 assessment is the old assessment you've had for the last few years, and it's based on your 2002 fair market value, just to make things confusing. Right. And you're also permitted right now to appeal your new assessment. The new assessment will be used for 2013 for next year's taxes. So you will be appealing, if you're dissatisfied with your old assessment, you can appeal your old assessment right now. If you're dissatisfied with your new assessment that some people in Allegheny County have already gotten in the mail, they can appeal that right now, and that will show up on next year's tax bill.
So, so in reality, somebody could be doing two assessments at the same time?
Oh, absolutely. There are plenty of people, plenty of my clients, who have come to me and said, not only am I dissatisfied with my current assessment, but I'm also dissatisfied with this new one I just got in the mail.
Oh my goodness.
And we are filing two appeals for them at the same time, a 2012 base year assessment appeal and a 2013 appeal.
Okay. Wow, that certainly throws a monkey in the monkey wrench in the works, doesn't it?
It makes things confusing.
I can't even wrap my head around that one. I just, when they first did the reassessments in 2002, they actually didn't use an assessment that was done in 2002. They used a Sabre system assessment, and wasn't that done in 2000?
In 2001, Sabre Systems came in and did an assessment for Allegheny County. And then in 2002, the county did another reassessment.
Who did that in 2002?
The 2002, I believe, was done in-house by the county,
Okay.
just updating information, I believe.
Okay.
That's the way it was done. It seems so long ago at this point.
Right.
And I'm so caught up in the
years.
current. It was 10 years ago, before I was a father.
Oh.
It seems like a lifetime ago. So at this point, Allegheny County is using a company called Tyler Technologies. It's the CLT division of Tyler Technologies.
Okay.
They've come in and they've done this reassessment that we are just at the tail end of right now.
Okay. Okay. Well, we have a wide range of news on this assessment, and there seems to be some sort of battle between the county executive and Judge Wettig. Can you tell us briefly why Allegheny County is now going through this reassessment process?
Yes, I can, and I'll try to keep it as brief as possible.
Okay.
But we are going back 10 years. Okay. So 10 years ago, with the 2002 reassessment being finished, the county then moved to a system where it was going to reassess for the year 2006, and that would happen in 2005.
Okay.
So the 2006 reassessment was completed in 2005 by the county. Dan Honorato,
yes,
the then county chief executive, did not certify those numbers, And because he didn't certify those numbers, we stuck with a 2002 base year assessment system. There were several property owners, led by a plaintiff with the last name of Clifton. So they filed a lawsuit, and this lawsuit is now known throughout Allegheny County as the Clifton suit. And the Clifton lawsuit was brought to Judge Weddick and asked Judge Weddick to order the county to do a reassessment. Judge Weddick agreed with the plaintiffs, ordered the reassessment. The county appealed that to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. The Supreme Court agreed with Judge Weddick. They ordered the county to do a reassessment and then kicked it back to Judge Weddick to oversee that reassessment. Judge Weddick is now at the tail end of overseeing that reassessment that the Pennsylvania Supreme Court has ordered Allegheny County to follow through with.
Allegheny County, and only Allegheny County.
Yes, because the plaintiffs were from Allegheny County, and in their lawsuit they asked the court to order Allegheny County to do a reassessment. Other counties, some of them are doing reassessments, most aren't, and most people would say, I believe most people would say, that it's up to Harrisburg then to give some guidance to all the other counties.
That's true. I agree. I think the legislation's maybe, in my opinion, punting a little bit on this one. Judge Weddick is getting a lot of flack, but he's kind of in a unique position with his experience and his background to be able to handle this and his involvement, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. He seems to be the judge who's heard all the assessment issues in Allegheny County for quite some time. And he's also the one who got this case to begin with. And now he's in this unique situation where he is simply enforcing an order from the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. He has very little latitude in what he does at this point.
Right, right. The Supreme Court says, do this, you kind of do that.
Yes.
When a homeowner receives their assessment, and the City of Pittsburgh and Mount Oliver had theirs mailed out last week, is that correct?
The City of Pittsburgh and Mount Oliver had their assessments sent out at the very end of December 2011. The eastern neighborhoods, the eastern municipalities of Allegheny County, most of them got their new assessments at the end of last week. Now, what you're referring to is a second round of mailings that went out to the City of Pittsburgh residents that was simply sent out to try and clear up some confusion because there were public officials, including our new county executive, Rich Fitzgerald, who were saying that the reassessment was off and don't worry about it and don't pay attention to these numbers. And with some clarification from the court, from Judge Weddick, there has been a new notice that was sent out to the property owners within the City of Pittsburgh school districts, so that's Pittsburgh and Mount Oliver, reminding them that, yes, this is still on, and here are your appeal dates, and here's how you can move forward.
Now, are they doing this as kind of a rollout to not overload the appeal process?
That's one reason. There are a few different reasons, but yes, these are being rolled out in 4 different stages. There's the City of Pittsburgh, Mount Oliver, there's the eastern suburbs, the southern suburbs, and then the north and west suburbs. It's almost as though if you divided the county up by the way the rivers run, you could divide it up into 3 segments. Those are outside the City of Pittsburgh. Those are the 3 segments that we're talking about.
Okay, well, I guess that makes a little bit of sense, but then who can say what makes sense with this assessment? Maybe you can. When they get this, let's say I live in Bethel Park and my rollout comes in 3 weeks and I get my assessment and I look at this and it's factually correct. You know, I live in a 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath house and my lot is this size and this is what it is. But my assessed value jumps from $120,000 to $160,000, and I know that homes in my neighborhood don't sell for that. Can I start my appeal process immediately? Should I wait? Should I wait till a date? Should I contact the lawyer first? Should I file an informal appeal? What do we do?
Well, as a lawyer,
and take those questions any way you want.
I will try and address those questions in order. I'm sure I won't, though. As a lawyer, I need to say that if I'm going to be giving legal advice to someone, it's on a case-by-case basis. So if somebody at home is considering an appeal on this, you need to think long and hard about your specific situation before you take what I'm saying here and just apply it as a blanket rule. That being said, if your assessment went up, significantly from the old number to the new number. Went up a significant dollar amount, went up a significant percentage.
Yes.
Those can be upsetting and worrisome, but those are not reasons to file an appeal.
Okay.
Okay? Just because an assessment doubles does not mean that the new assessment is wrong.
Okay.
It might mean that the old assessment was too low. It could mean the new one is too high. It could also mean that values in that neighborhood have just doubled, or values of your kind of property have doubled.
Okay.
Now, looking at the new number, regardless of what the old number was, looking at the new number, if that assessment is higher than what you think properties are going for in your neighborhood, what you think a similar property would sell for, or what you think your property specifically would sell for,
Okay.
then you have an opportunity to appeal. So you want to look at your property, decide what is the fair market value of your property, what could it sell for today, and if it's less than the new assessment, if the assessment is higher than what you think it's worth, then you need to consider an appeal.
And when you say consider appeal, there's a lot to take into account besides just whether or not you feel you may be a little bit over.
That's right.
My brother-in-law, who's an aerospace engineer, says something about a zero net gain. And if you're at a part where you're paying more to appeal your taxes than what you're going to get back, maybe that's one of the situations.
Well, I'm not an aerospace engineer, so I'll have to
Neither am I.
agree with him. Yes, what you want to do, once you've decided that your property is overassessed, then you have to decide what will it take to appeal this, to get it reduced. Do I need an appraisal? If I'm getting an appraisal, how much will that cost me? Do I feel I need an attorney? You're not required to have an attorney to do these appeals. Many people find it beneficial to hire an attorney. All of my clients do.
My son did too.
Yeah. So, and some people are very successful at doing this without an attorney. If once you've balanced those costs, then you have to determine how much am I potentially saving in my taxes. If I know that I'm overassessed by $2,000, how much can I realistically save every year on my property taxes, and is it worth it to appeal this? If I'm overassessed by $100,000, is it worth it to appeal this? With those two examples, I'm sure everyone watching this show can determine that for themselves. It gets a little trickier when you determine that you're overassessed by $5,000 or $10,000 or $15,000. What does that really mean in your taxes, and how much can you save, and how much are you spending?
I think that's a critical point for people to look at, because there's a lot of effort involved in an appeal process, and if you're only getting upset about a few bucks, you may want to just write the check.
If you want to bring an appeal just for the sake of setting everything straight, then a few bucks, it's fine. But if you're truly just concerned about saving some money or not spending more money than you need to on taxes or on the appeal process, then you really have to think long and hard about this.
Now, if you go, and when we spoke before, you told me that there were two separate processes. There was an informal process, which they got rid of, and then they now have brought back. Is it still back?
It is still back.
Okay. Let's go to the informal, and then we'll talk about the formal. Okay.
So the informal, the two different appeal processes that you're talking about are informal and formal appeals. The informal review process, it has a shorter filing deadline, so you don't have as much time to file for that. There is no filing fee for filing for an informal review, and it is designed to be a more a faster, more expeditious process where you can go in for an informal review, point out the mistaken characteristics of your property that the county has listed, and they'll correct this for you.
They say you have 4 bedrooms, but you only have 3, that type of mistake?
Exactly.
Okay.
You have a ranch, and they've got you listed as a 2-story.
Okay.
Okay. So you can go in and get these things corrected.
Okay.
And that's the way this system is supposed to be set up. You'll then be mailed a decision at some point later saying, we've made these changes, and that's affected your assessment as such. Once you've gotten that decision, you then have a right to file for a formal appeal as well. Now, the formal appeal process, you can either start that by going through the informal,
Okay.
getting your decision, being dissatisfied, and then filing for a formal, or you can just file for a formal appeal right at the beginning. You can file for both right at the beginning.
Okay.
Your informal will be heard first, and then at some point down the road, your formal would be heard. Neither of these do you have to pay for. There's no filing fees for either.
Oh, okay.
And there's no penalty, and there's nothing held against you if you decide to withdraw one of those. So my advice to people that are filing for informal reviews is that while they're filing for the informal, file for your formal appeal as well, so that you don't miss any deadlines. Mm-hmm. And then if you don't need your formal appeal, you can withdraw it down the road.
If everything gets taken care of?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. If everything's taken care of, you can withdraw it. At the formal appeal level, it is a more formal process, thus the name, formal appeal.
Is it in a courtroom?
It is not in a courtroom.
Okay.
There is a recording made of this. You are under oath
Okay.
as a property owner. And there's a hearing officer there who's listening to everything you're saying. And quite often there's a representative from your school district or your municipality who's there to either observe or sometimes submit evidence of their own where they disagree with your opinion of value.
This would be done like if I live in Bethel Park, our solicitor here in Bethel Park would have somebody present, possibly, when a resident from Bethel Park was filing an appeal and having this formal hearing to ensure the municipality's rights in this assessment.
Yes.
Okay.
And I left out the county can also send
Okay.
a representative. So you could have the county, the school district, or your municipality there representing their interests, which usually are the opposite of yours. They are usually looking to maintain the assessment or increase an assessment, whereas you are usually looking to decrease an assessment as a property owner. Mm-hmm. In reality, it is almost exclusively the school districts that show up to these. It's very, very rarely is it the school district or the municipality. The school districts usually show up if anyone is showing up to argue these points. So those are the two initial stages that you have for these appeals. And the informals, there are a lot of questions about how those are being run and how they will be run and what kind of decisions you can get out of those. And honestly, I don't know what kinds of decisions you can get or exactly how they'll be run because they haven't.
How equitable they are?
I'm sorry?
How equitable?
I don't know how equitable they'll be, how fair the decisions will be, because the county hasn't seen those in 10 years. We don't do those on a regular basis. We only do those in a reassessment. With the formal appeals, I've been doing hundreds of those every year. Even in a non-reassessment year, when you can appeal your assessment, I've represented plenty of people in bringing their own appeals to lower their assessment or representing people who need to defend an assessment appeal that's been brought by a school or a municipality.
Oh, okay.
And at that level, it's somewhat predictable what's going to happen. And anyone who's been through that process once before has a pretty good feel for how evidence will be heard and how decisions will be made there.
So when you have somebody going in on the formal appeal process and you're going in representing your client, they're going to have to do a little bit of homework for themselves before they can show up there, right? They're going to have to bring pictures of their house, get an appraiser, have a formal appraisal done. Will they have to pay for the appraiser to be present as an expert witness, or?
There are plenty of steps that someone should take before going in for a hearing.
Okay.
Filing an appeal, you don't have to have all of your information lined up just yet.
Right.
You don't have to have your appraisal. You don't have to have your pictures. You don't have to have all these things to appeal. But to attend the appeal, to attend the hearing, yes, you need to have all of your evidence lined up. You have to have copies to keep for yourself, copies to give to the hearing officer, copies to give to any representative from the taxing body that shows up. If you are bringing an appraisal, at these first two levels, you are permitted to bring an appraisal without bringing your appraiser.
Okay.
So you don't need to bring the appraiser with you.
That's at the informal and the formal appeal?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, there's a third level after the formal appeal. If either side is dissatisfied, it can be appealed up to the Court of Common Pleas. It's referred to as the Board of Viewers. and there's filing fees involved in that. It takes about a year, year and a half to get your hearing date. It is a formal court proceeding at that point.
This I could see an application in commercial properties.
It happens much more frequently in commercial properties than in residential,
Okay.
yes. But at that formal appeal level, informal appeal level, those first two levels, you don't need to bring your appraiser with you. If you've got estimates for repairing your property because of damages that you've noticed or damages that have just shown up, you can bring in those estimates for repair without bringing in the contractor that gave you those estimates.
Okay.
You can bring in your agreement of sale, your deed, your settlement statement, if that's what you're using to show a lower value. You can bring in sales information on other properties, comparable properties that you think are very similar to yours that support.
Recently sold? Or
Yes, you want to use recent sales for this
Okay.
new assessment. Now, when we started talking, I said there's two different appeals you can make this year, not the informal and formal, but two different years you can be appealing right now. If you're appealing your current assessment, the 2002 base year assessment, then you need to be looking at 2001, 2002 sales.
Wow.
If you're looking, or something close to that base year time period, if you're appealing your current, if you're appealing your new assessment, this new 2013 assessment, that's a current value that you're looking for, so you want to use current sales. As recent as you can find, as similar to your property as you can find, as close in geographic proximity to your property as you can find. Now, it's important to note, when you're using comparables, you're looking for comparable sales. You are not looking for comparable assessments. So if your neighbor's house is exactly like yours, and they are assessed lower than you, it is not going to help you to go in for your appeal and say, well, my neighbor got assessed lower, so I should be assessed lower. If your neighbor just purchased the property for a lower amount, that you can use.
Now, we've had a tumble in our market here between 2006 and now. Is this going to be increasing the number of appeals, people who feel they've lost value in their property since 2006?
It may, but some people's assessments, the new assessments, have actually come down. If you look to the borough of Mount Oliver, the average change in assessed value for residential properties in Mount Oliver has actually come down from the 2002 base year assessment to the current assessment. Within the city of Pittsburgh, the average has gone up by, I believe it was about 57%.
Oh, really?
So there are some neighborhoods that are going down, some neighborhoods that are going up, and there's within each of these neighborhoods there are some properties that have gone down in assessed value and some that have gone up in assessed value. So as I said earlier, it is a little misleading to look at your old assessment and compare it to your new assessment to determine if you should be happy or upset about this, or if you should appeal this. You should be looking at the new number, the new assessment, and asking the question, what could my house go for? What could my property go for today? If the value is lower, if because of the tumble in the real estate market, the value has come down, and your assessment has gone up, well, then you've got a potential appeal there.
Now, if they come out and have an appraiser come out and they find out not only did it not go up, it's worth less than it was in 2002, that's an appeal.
If it's gone down lower than it was in 2002,
Right.
and your new assessment doesn't reflect that decrease, then yes.
Okay.
So to use some numbers, if your old assessment was $100,000
Right,
and you thought it used to be worth $100,000 back in '02,
right.
and your new assessment is $150,000,
Okay.
but you think the value has gone down, and you get an appraisal, and the appraiser says it's only worth $90,000, that's an appeal. And you're arguing about $60,000 worth of assessment.
Are you arguing about both the old and the new so they don't revert to the old? Excuse me.
No, you're only arguing about the new because your old one in that scenario, where your assessment used to be $100,000, and you purchased it back in '02 for $100,000.
Okay.
We know what the '02 value is.
Okay.
The 2002 value is $100,000 because
Okay.
that's what you were willing to pay for it.
Okay. Okay. This gets a little confusing, and I don't mean
Just a little.
I don't mean to sound dense here, but I'm listening to everything you're saying, and I'm trying to follow this in my head, jumping back and forth between these 2 points. And I think to confuse people a little bit more, we're going to add the fact that even though it's a 2002 appeal, or I'm sorry, 2012 appeal, it actually does not go into effect until 2013.
That's right. There's been a decision by the court to hold off on the implementation of these new assessed values until next year. And the thought behind that appears to be that this will allow the property owners and the taxing bodies to work quite a few of these appeals through the process, so that when budgets and millage rates get set for 2013, they'll be setting those millage rates based on their 2013 budget and based on the post-appeal values. So if values tend to go down with all the appeals, then the millage rates will properly reflect this.
You had mentioned something when I heard you speaking about zero tax increase, and I'm not saying this right. What was it you were saying? That nobody can increase their taxes.
There are the taxing bodies have to stay relatively revenue neutral through the reassessment. There's anti-windfall statutes.
Okay.
So they're not allowed to realize a windfall. What that means is, if, for example, a taxing body, let's just pick a school district. If a school district, if all the properties in that district double in their assessment from the old assessment to the new assessment, and nothing is done to adjust the millage rates, and the school district keeps the same budget as they had the year before the reassessment, as they have the year after the reassessment, as they're required to. If we don't adjust the millage rates with a doubling of the assessments, the school district will collect twice as much money as they really needed to.
Okay.
And that's a windfall.
Okay.
So doubling is an easy thing to look at, because if the assessments double, then and the budget stays the same, then the millage rate, the tax rate, reduces by half. So instead of getting twice as much, they drop it down by half. They're collecting the same amount of money they were collecting the year before.
So if they have a 7% or 14% millage rate and it doubles, they can only collect at a 7% rate.
That's right.
Okay.
Now, setting the millage rate, yes, you're right. Setting the millage rate is secondary to setting the budget and looking at the total assessments. The taxing bodies aren't really setting a millage rate. The millage rate is derived by setting the budget and then looking at all of the assessments and asking the question, what do we need to multiply all of these assessments by to equal our budget? And that's where the millage rate comes from. Now, changes in the millage rate make a lot of news, but what you should really be looking at is, what's the change in the budget for this taxing body? That's the first thing you want to be looking at. And then from there, you're able to determine what the new millage rate is. In the reassessment years, the taxing bodies will stay revenue neutral, so their budgets will stay the same. So if a school district's assessments double, you can count on the millage rate then dropping by half. If the assessments go up by 50%, as they've approximately done within the Pittsburgh School District, then you can count on the millage rates dropping by a third. Took me a little while to make sure I had that math right, and once I figured it out, I almost wrote it down and sent the proof back to my high school algebra teacher, because I thought she'd be proud.
Okay. Okay. I gotcha, because 50% of 50% is not 50% of 100%.
That's right.
Okay.
In the same way that if you have a 100% increase, right, and you're only dropping it by 50% to get it back down, right, you're not dropping it by 100%, because if you dropped it by 100%, you'd be back down to zero.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
It is. It took me a second just to process that one too. Gotcha. So the revenue neutral year is actually going to be 2013, though.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
So this year, it's whatever they need to do to make their budget.
Yeah. Yeah. Most of the budgets are already set or are being set.
Okay. Okay. So let me move back on point, because I kind of drifted off. I'm
That's
sorry.
fine.
When you walk into, can you kind of set the scene for us? You have your client, you're going into a formal appeal.
Okay.
What are they going to be expecting? Kind of help prepare them a little bit, because you're going to be preparing a lot of people.
Yeah, I already am.
Okay.
At a formal appeal, someone can expect to walk into the county office building,
Okay.
the third floor of the county office building, sign in at the counter,
Okay.
tell them you're there. You're scheduled for some time, some hour, on the hour. You will be heard. The plan is to hear that case within that hour. So if you're scheduled for 3 o'clock, sometime between 3 and 4 o'clock you'll be called. But you need to be there by 3. You sign in, you then go to a waiting room. Eventually your name, your property address is called. You go into a room where there's a desk similar to this desk. There's a hearing officer sitting behind it. And the hearing officer has a computer in front of them and a microphone on the table. The hearing officer swears you in. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, just like on TV, maybe just a little faster.
Okay.
And you raise your right hand, you say yes or I do or something affirmative,
Okay.
and you move on from there. The hearing officer will then ask the person who filed the appeal, so if it's the property owner who filed the appeal, to explain why they appealed it. And you start by saying, I don't believe my current assessment is accurate, and here's why. And you then present your evidence. You show, here's a property right next door to mine that's sold. It's just like mine. Here's how you can see it's just like mine. Here's the information from the county's assessment site showing it's just like mine. And it sold just a year ago for less than my new assessment. Here's an appraisal that I've gotten showing that my value is less than the current assessment.
Okay.
Here is, and you present all this evidence out on the table. Again, you have copies for yourself, for the hearing officer, for the school district or municipality if they show up. When you're done presenting all of your evidence, the hearing officer may have some clarifying questions to ask of you. And then if the school district is there, they would then have the opportunity to cross-examine you. And they would ask you questions about the things you've just said. You said that this house right next to yours is just like yours, but from the pictures it looks to be a lot larger. Can you explain this? You said that you just bought it for this much, but from this evidence it looks like you didn't. Can you explain why that's different?
Is there a penalty for perjury in this hearing?
Oh yes, you're under oath.
Okay.
So you don't
Just want to make
you
that
don't
clear,
lie.
because if
Yeah.
you've got these kind of
No,
discrepancies.
no. You don't lie, and it's recorded.
Yeah.
You do not want to perjure yourself. That would be much worse than just leaving your assessment where it is.
Yeah, yeah. But if they're kind of just the questions you were asking had me thinking, wow, geez, that's kind of like perjury if they lied about their house.
Oh yes, it's not
When-
kind of like perjury. It is perjury.
Okay, good. You're right. If you're there, who do you question? What do you object to questioning by a school district? Like if their attorney's questioning, is it your job to object, or do you just represent?
Yes,
How do you represent?
So yes, I can object to things that are being said. It is a less formal. We're talking about the formal appeals, but it's less formal than in a true courtroom. So it is possible to object, but that rarely occurs. The school district attorneys, municipal attorneys that I've dealt with, are all very. I have a lot of respect for them
And
and
we're
the
all
job
John
they
Q.
have to
Public
do.
here. We don't go into court much.
And yeah, and making an objection to things that are said, it rarely happens. It can.
Okay.
As an attorney, when I'm representing someone there, quite often my clients don't even go to the hearing. I just go to it for them.
Oh.
And if I'm there without my client or with my client, the school district still has the opportunity to question things that have been presented on behalf of the property owner. And if I'm there with a client, I will lead the client through the explanation of their property by asking them questions. Where do you live? Do you live at this house that we're appealing? When did you buy it? How much did you buy it for? Do you think that was a fair price? Do you think that that fair price should be the new assessment instead of this higher assessment that you just got? Tell me about your neighbor's house. Is it just like yours? How is it similar? How is it different? So I lead them down that path.
So if you are there with your client instead of the person who's sitting here, what did you call them, a master? Or what?
Hearing officer.
A hearing officer. So instead of the hearing officer asking this person a question where they might be a little bit intimidated, you're the one who gets to bring forth the case.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. I assist my clients in telling their story,
Okay.
in explaining their case, explaining their rationale as to why the assessment is not accurate. The hearing officer can still ask some clarifying questions, but if I've done my job properly, there's very little, if anything, that still needs to be clarified. We've gotten all of our points across. And then when the school district asks questions of the property owner, if I need to, I can object to the form of the question or the way or the question itself. Again, that rarely occurs, but it can.
Okay.
And then once we're done with that phase, then it's up to the school district to present their own case. They can then present comparables and sales history and other information that they think will substantiate the current assessment or maybe increase the assessment. And then it's my job, or if the property owner is there alone, it's the property owner's job to cross-examine the school district's attorney on this.
Oh, geez. Okay. So they're defending their position in this court as well.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Quite often they are.
Okay. So, okay. I hadn't even thought of that aspect of it. Okay. Well, that certainly complicates my thoughts of being able to.
Anyone is
Yeah.
allowed to go and handle these hearings on their own.
Right.
And many people are capable of it.
Yeah.
Other people are not capable of handling it. And there's just many people who just don't want to deal with it. And they hire somebody to do it for them.
Yeah. And typically, and I'm not asking you you specifically, but is there typically a range where people would expect to go through this process at a rate that's less than $300 an hour that we all pay for legal services?
There are attorneys who there are attorneys who charge hourly for this. There are attorneys who will charge on a percentage savings basis.
Okay.
How much money they save you in property taxes.
You know that this may be the first time that a lot of people will go to an attorney and have no clue, because they don't get involved in the legal system for any reason. And here's an appeal, and what the heck?
That's the majority of my clients. When they come to me, either for this or to write a will for them or to help them with the small business they want to start, they're coming to me and it's the first time they've ever spoken to a lawyer.
Yeah.
And yeah, I get that. And most people are not well versed and don't want to be well versed in all the different billing methods of attorneys.
Right.
The last way that attorneys bill, and this is the way that I tend to bill, is on a flat fee, where we look at the case at the beginning, we determine a fee, and that's it. And regardless of how many phone calls are
And that's
needed.
for appeals only, we're saying, on your area of business. I mean, you do business in a couple different things, but your
Yes.
flat fee would only be on an appeal basis.
Yes,
if
and
possible.
when I deal with estate planning, with wills and trusts, I also try to do that as much as I
really?
can as well, where a client is coming to me, they have a conversation with me, and at the end of that first conversation, they know how much money this is going to cost them if they need to move forward.
Oh, really?
And I found that it's helpful to my clients, it gives them peace of mind, and frankly, it's easier for me.
Yeah.
It's much easier to know that, here's how much they're paying me, and we don't have to worry about them getting upset if I call them and ask them some clarifying questions, because they're not getting billed if I call them and ask them questions. I don't have to hit the timer on my desk.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I see that in
I
the
save
TV shows.
I save that for special clients.
Oh, okay. Oh, good. I don't want to be a special client. I've already walked that road. So, before I get to my very last question, is there anything else you would want to tell us that we should be aware of with this assessment?
Yeah, the one big caution that I have for people about filing an appeal is when you're evaluating whether or not an appeal is necessary, if an appeal is going to be helpful, you need to look at it from the school district side as well and try to determine, are they going to try and raise your assessment if you file this appeal? Because if you appeal, you can win and get a reduction in your assessment. You can lose and keep it exactly where it is, or you could lose and it could go up. So if, for example, I just bought a house for $120,000 and my new assessment came in at $100,000, but I really think I could get it lower because some neighbors' properties just sold for $90,000 and I've got a new appraisal that says $90,000, and you can think about this and it might be worth appealing, but you have to weigh the possibility that this assessment is going to go up to $120,000 that you just purchased it at. So if you file the appeal, you need to look at all the good evidence and the bad evidence before moving forward with it, you can file the appeal and withdraw it. But when you get to that hearing, if you haven't looked at all of this potentially bad evidence, it might not be that your assessment stays where it is. It might be that it goes up.
I can think of when that would happen without your house ever changing, a window. Half a block away, they put in a new development with much higher end homes. And all of a sudden, it's in real estate and in the appraisal, it's location, location, location. And the value of your home could very easily go up past what you think. So I think that you're right. I hadn't thought of that aspect. But yeah, if Bethel Park were to give a permit to put in a new plan of homes that are, $750,000 next to, my plan of homes, I would think my valuation on my home might be raised a little bit by that plan of homes.
Yes, it might.
Yeah. Some things to think about. Hadn't quite thought of that one. There's a lot to take into consideration whenever we're thinking about this. And
yes, there is.
It's good to get some sound advice when you're going through this process, I think. I do have one question that was asked of me, and I have no good answer for it, so I begin to understand this one. When Governor Rendell first brought gambling into the state of Pennsylvania, how long ago was that? 8, 9 years ago? Something like that?
Yeah, it might have actually been a little more. It was more recently that Rivers Casino was built.
Rivers,
but yes.
Yeah, they first started all of this thing with the Poconos. There was a whole big thing about the revenue that came in from the gambling proceeds would be applied to property taxes, especially senior property taxes. And I may be wrong remembering this, but I'm thinking that that's what it was. What happened to that?
I believe that you're right, that it was supposed to go to help the seniors. As far as the reassessment goes, that has nothing to do with the reassessment.
Okay.
And any money that is brought in from that, brought into the Commonwealth from that's being given to either the municipalities or the county or the school districts, would be going into their budget as appropriately applied. And that would then reduce the millage rate slightly for either the seniors or for everybody if it went into a general revenue pool, because the amount of money that the taxing body needs to bring in to hit their budget mark would not be quite as high because they've already got a little bit of money coming in from the gambling.
Right.
It's not drastically affecting anyone's taxes right now. I don't know if that's because it's not being applied appropriately, or if it's just because not enough money is coming in.
I'm pretty sure I heard someplace where the Rivers Casino was bringing in a lot of money.
I'm sure that it is.
In the
I'm sure
area,
that it is.
State and country, maybe even.
If you really want more gambling revenue to come in and supplement your property taxes, well then go gamble some more.
Yeah,
but that's not as a lawyer that I'm saying that.
I wasn't for the gambling. I'm just a little disappointed.
I think your chances of losing more money is probably higher than saving money on your property taxes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't count on the gambling as being the silver bullet to fix property tax problems.
Yeah.
I believe that it's helping, but it's not making an enormous difference right now.
Yeah. Well, I would just like to know that it actually is going towards the seniors, the same as, the lottery is supposed to go towards helping pay for senior health care and offset prescription costs, and nobody has a problem with that. And I would hope that the proceeds are going to try and help our senior citizens, because they are on a fixed income, and they're the people that are going to be affected the most by this, I think. People with that have recently been laid off,
Sure.
And our senior citizens. So I hope that there's help available. By the way, there was a news article on the news last night, and I was going to end this, and now I'm keeping on going. There was a news article on the TV last night about the city helping people. We don't know what that's about, do we?
No. I read it in the paper this morning, and I saw it on the news last night. I don't have any firsthand knowledge about this, but the story was about the city of Pittsburgh helping city of Pittsburgh residents with their appeals. There was a comment about low-income property owners. There was also a comment in the article about low assessed value property owners. being the threshold for the city to get involved and assist people. I would just advise people, if they believe that they fit in one of those categories, to call look on the city's website, I'm sure, call your city, your elected official in the city, and ask them what help is available. The article that I read said that this has been proposed, so I don't even believe that it's been passed by the city yet. But it's been floated out there, and there are many sources to go to if you need help with this. Obviously, one of them would be to call on an attorney. I'd be remiss if I didn't say that.
Sure.
But calling your local elected officials is definitely a way to get some help. To go to the county's websites that are set up for this. There's some explanations on there on how to handle these things. I would caution people from simply going online and Googling information. I've got information out there online.
Google.
There's plenty of information out there. The problem is that this information changes so quickly and so dramatically that if you're looking at a website that was updated a week ago, it might have misinformation on there at this point. So it's very important to talk to somebody or get it directly from the local government.
As we were going over my prep, we made note of that, and you're absolutely right, because things that I printed out Friday are out of date today.
Yes.
And with that, Michael Werner from Zunder and Warner, I would like to thank you for joining us. You have been very informative, and you have been very helpful to our audiences, and I thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And I would encourage anyone who has any further questions to call Michael at Zunder Werner, or their own attorneys if they have their own attorney. And I would like to thank you all for joining us at home in Bethel Park, and I will see you next time.
My name is Amanda. I'm 21 years old. I have lots of friends that use tanning beds that lay out in the sun all the time, and I tell them about Jamie. Jamie was in her early 20s when she was diagnosed with melanoma, and she died right before she turned 30. Jamie's death caused me to stop tanning completely. Before that, in high school, I wanted to be dark and look good in a prom dress or a bathing suit. In high school, it was the thing to do. But after Jamie's death, I completely stepped away from tanning beds and never went back. I know now tanning can cause the worst possible skin cancer you could get. People think tanning is safe. I don't think it's safe. You could die just like Jamie did.
This message is brought to you by the American Academy of Dermatology.
Look, Mom, no skis. No fish.
Falls on TV can be entertaining. Falling at home can be devastating. Each year, 1 in 3 Americans over 65 falls in their own home, breaking bones and shattering lives. For older people, any broken bone can be serious. A broken hip, potentially lethal. To make your home as fall-safe and bone-friendly as it can be, visit orthoinfo.org/falls. A public service message from the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons, where staying on your feet is doctor's orders.
The American Legion. We're a powerful force for the nation. We pledge ourselves to our veterans, our youth, a strong national defense, and Americanism. These 4 pillars shape our work and what we do for America. We work relentlessly within our 4 pillars of service, and we succeed. We're committed to making sure all veterans receive the benefits they deserve for the sacrifices they've made in service to America. We support and promote citizenship and integrity in America's future leaders. We know what policies, tools, and manpower our military needs to protect this great country. We fight to get these things done. We're patriots through and through. We promote and defend these values every day in communities across the nation. Go to Legion.org to find out more about the American Legion's commitment of service to America.
There comes a time in life when you need government information,
and you just don't know which way to turn.
Well, there's a place you can go to put an end to your frustration.
It's a site that everyone should learn.
USA.gov.
Find your Social Security benefits online.
USA.gov.
Our list of jobs will put you on cloud nine.
USA.gov.
Shop auctions for a used minivan anytime.
USA.gov.
You can apply for a student loan.
USA.gov.
Get energy saving tips for your home.
USA.gov.
So great you might just get carpal tunnel syndrome.
It's government made easy for the people. USA.gov. For the people. USA.gov.
This sector's clear, Captain.
Seems that way. But they're here.
We have an intruder. 30 meters. 20 meters. 12. 8. 5.
I thought you guys were cleaning out here.
Oh, we are. We're, sweeping.
Yeah, for space aliens.
Yeah, for space aliens.
Boom. Good luck with that.
Imagine what a little time can do for your family.
I think our work is done.
From the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Thanks to your generosity, Marines have delivered Christmas to children in need since 1947.
Savings Man here with a story for you about 2 young spenders named Tommy and Sue. Their parents let them buy whatever they chose, like video games and designer clothes. As they grew older, they spent all their pay on fancy cars, houses, 2 lattes a day. They lived in the moment, never saving a dime. When they tried to retire, they'd run out of time. Working forever is Tom and Sue's fate, so choose to save now before it's too late. Visit our website to find out more, 'cause a happy ending's worth saving for.
And now, another adventure with Savings Man.
Oh dear, I can't afford that.
Charge it. You can pay it off later.
Not so fast, credit card guy.
Savings Man.
Don't let him entice you, ma'am. Credit card guy can lead you to big trouble. You need a savings plan.
You're right, Savings Man.
Get this ballpark estimate worksheet at choosetosave.org. It will help you get started.
Gee, thanks, Savings Man.
No, thank you.
So visit choosetosave.org and get your ballpark estimate today. And now, another adventure with Savings Man.
This is great. Every day should be like this.
It will be when I retire in a few years. I've been planning and saving.
Did you save for me?
Well, this is unexpected.
Where'd you come from?
Out of the blue, just like an illness, an emergency, or a...
That's enough, Mr. Unexpected.
Savings Man.
There's still time to plan. Find out how at choosetosave.org with a ballpark estimate worksheet.
I will. Thanks, Savings Man.
No, thank you.
So visit choosetosave.org today.
Meet Kathy, who's lived most everywhere, from Zanzibar to Berkeley Square.
But Patty's only seen the sights a girl can see from Brooklyn Heights. What a crazy pair.
Kath, have you heard from Patty and Richard yet?
Yes. Patty was going to stop and pick up a pie, and Richard was going to file for Medicare.
Filing for Medicare? We won't eat till midnight tomorrow.
Richard's filing for Medicare online at socialsecurity.gov. It takes less than 10 minutes.
10 minutes? But I had to go to the office and wait.
Online.
What about the paperwork?
Online.
But Richard's still working.
Online. Hey.
You made it.
No problemo, Papo. I got the pie.
And I got my Medicare.
And I've got the turkey.
You get that online too?
I am Joan Rivers with an important announcement. Getting old is horrible, okay? Horrible.
You're not old. I mean, you're older, but you're not old.
You want to see old?
Oh, God.
Yes, grow up, for goodness sakes. The last man to hit on me was an undertaker. I know where
I don't want to talk about
Well,
this,
you're going to
Mom.
have to talk about it. It's the future. It's coming right at us. And I'm not worried about dying. It's getting there. I mean, heaven is going to be fabulous. It's going to be a giant shopping mall, and there's going to be 20% off on everything, except for me, 44.
You know, you're doing jokes, and I'm just not ready.
Well, you have to be ready. You have to listen to me. Look, there are things to discuss. They're going to be my needs. They're going to be my wants.
You know, Mom, I don't want to hear this. I just don't want to hear this. La, la, la,
Don't give me la, 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 la,
I
la.
don't. I can't. I can't do
Talk
this.
to your family about aging, even
No.
if they're not ready to listen. Come on, listen to me. Listen to me.
For the first time?
Yes, for the first time.
No matter who you are, it's not easy talking about aging. For help, go to voa.org/talk. A message from Volunteers of America.
Hi, I'm Greg Poge, and this is A Plan.
And I'm Mike Shaheen, also known as Bill Cosby.
BPTV is in desperate need of volunteers, new TV shows, and even your own short films.
Like on YouTube.
For example, you can send your own YouTube videos, and we will gladly put them on the air.
Right, because I just said that like 3 seconds ago.
We can show you all the tools you need to create your own TV show.
Like Photoshop, Final Cut, or After Effects.
A lot of the equipment we have at BPTV is the same equipment used by professionals in your favorite TV programming.
Shows such as Scrubs or Mythbusters.
We'll even take you step by step through the creation of your own show. Plus, you get to meet a bunch of fun people who enjoy doing the same thing, like us.
Yeah.
We really need some new material for BPTV.
Yeah.
I mean, the only people working are me and this plan.
Yeah. Wait, what?
That's right, just me and this plan.
Greg, I'm right here.
It's really hard to come up with ideas whenever we just have me and this plan here.
Greg, we're filming a video right now. I mean, we sat here for an hour writing this script out. Can the camera even see me?
Like
Hello?
I said, come to BPTV and help me and this plan make some good television. Because clearly, no one else is here.
Greg, I'm right here. Hello? Oh, come on.
Hi, my name is Sarah.
And I'm Denise, and we're here at the Western Pennsylvania Humane Society.
We are here to tell you about our Girl Scout Gold Word project.
As you can see, these animals are very lovable, but there's a problem here at the Humane Society.
They do not have enough wet food to give to their animals.
And that's where you guys come in.
We are asking for your help through a generous donation to the Western Pennsylvania Humane Society. At this time, we have collected over 1,000 cans and donated them to the Humane Society, but they still need more. These animals need their food so they can continue to have healthy, full lives before they are adopted out to a loving home.
Another way you can help out is by adopting an animal from the shelter.
Thank you for your time and attention, and I hope that you have the consideration to remember the animals at the Western Pennsylvania Humane Society.
Once you figure out how to speak your kids' language, well, you don't really have to say much at all.
from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.